My wife added me to the wrong group chat. Brooke and I had been married 4 years, together for 6 before that. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop party in Denver, dated long distance for 8 months while she finished her master's in Phoenix, and when she moved back, I proposed in the kitchen of my apartment with a ring I'd been carrying for 2 months, waiting for a moment that felt right. She said yes before I finished the sentence. I thought we were the kind of couple people meant when they said things work out. The notification came on a Thursday night in April. I was on the couch watching the end of a game, Brooke was in the bath, and my phone buzzed with a group chat alert. The chat was called Girls and had 4 members: Brooke, her sister Mel, her best friend Dana, and, as of 30 seconds ago, me. I assumed it was a mistake immediately. I was about to text Brooke separately to let her know when the preview of the most recent message loaded under the chat name. It was from Mel, sent 2 hours earlier. It said, "Honestly, at this point, I don't know why she stays. He's never going to be what she needs." I put the game on mute. I scrolled up. I want to be precise here about what I found because I've thought about it enough times that the details are sharp. The chat went back 11 months. There were hundreds of messages. Not all of them were about me, but enough were that it took me 40 minutes to get through them, sitting there with the TV on silent and the occasional sound of water from the bathroom down the hall. There was a thread from September about a trip Brooke and I had taken to Sedona for our anniversary. She told me it was one of her favorite trips we'd ever taken. In the chat, she told Mel and Dana that she'd been miserable the whole time, that I didn't plan anything thoughtful, that she'd basically organized everything herself and pretended otherwise. Dana had responded with a string of eye-roll emojis and the word exhausting. There was a thread from November about Christmas at my family's house. Brooke had told me she loved my family. In the chat, she described my mother as suffocating, my brother as immature, and referred to the whole visit as something she needed to recover from. Mel had sent back, "Why do you keep doing this to yourself?" There was a thread from January where Brooke told them she'd been thinking about what her life would look like if she'd ended up with her ex, a guy named Colt who she'd dated before me. Dana said Colt was always so present with her. Mel said some people just match better. Brooke said I know. I was still sitting there when I heard the bathroom door open. I didn't say anything that night. I turned the game back on when I heard her coming down the hall, set my phone face down, and watched the last 4 minutes of a game I no longer cared about while she made tea and asked me how my day was. I said fine. She sat next to me and leaned into my shoulder, and I let her and I stared at the screen. I needed a few days because I wanted to be sure I was going to say the right things and not just the loud ones. Monday morning she was at work and I called my friend Garrett, who is a family attorney, not to talk legal strategy, but because he's the clearest thinker I know. I read him a few of the threads, and he was quiet for a moment and then said, "What do you want to do?" I told him I didn't know yet. He said, "Figure that out first. Everything else is just noise until you do." I figured it out by Wednesday. Wednesday evening I made dinner. Brooke's favorite, chicken piccata, salad, a bottle of the wine she liked. She walked in and smiled at the table and said, "What's the occasion?" I said, "I wanted to have a real conversation with you." We sat down. She started talking about her day, and I let her finish. Then I put my phone on the table with the group chat open to the thread about Sedona. She looked at the screen, and her face went through about 4 different expressions before settling on something pale and still. "You added me by mistake a few weeks ago," I said. "I've read the whole thing." She opened her mouth. I said, "I'm not going to yell. I just need you to tell me honestly right now if any part of what I've been thinking our marriage has been real for you." What followed was an hour and 20 minutes of the most honest conversation we'd had in years, which is its own kind of answer. She cried. She said she'd been afraid to tell me things directly. I said that wasn't a reason. It was an excuse, and she needed to decide if she knew the difference. At the end of it, she asked if I wanted her to leave. I said I wanted her to want to fix it, and that those were different questions, and only she knew the answer to the second one. She called a therapist the next morning. We've been going together for 6 weeks now. Garrett asks me every couple of weeks how it's going, and I tell him honestly each time. Some sessions are hard. Some are useful. And last week, the therapist asked Brooke why she'd found it easier to tell Mel and Dana what she needed than to tell me. Brooke didn't have an answer right away. I thought that was probably the most important question we'd been asked. I'm still waiting to see what she does with it.